Good morning, good evening, gentle viewers. Commander Culture salutes you. I am your purveyor of samizdat in these difficult times, and I am here with an inaugural remoralization stream. I figured there were so many false inaugurations going on, I might as well give you a true inauguration, the first time that I'm going to be streaming in a remoralizing fashion. What I'm designing to do here is to give you hope, to give myself hope, to give all of us on this side of correctness hope. There is immense chances, there's immense probabilities, there's immense ways that we can and will win. I am hopeful that we will win in the end. A concerned supporter wrote me and said, Commander Culture, what is it that we can do now that we're living in a post-consent America? If you watched my last video on the social contract, you'll understand that we're living in a post-consent America. I scribbled down on the back of an envelope 10 distinct things that I thought that we could do as patriots, as nationalists, as Americans to come back from this precipice that we seem to be on, at least in our own local area. Remember, everything is local. We've discovered that we can't control things that go on in Washington, D.C., so why try? Why beat ourselves up over something that we can't possibly control? That's insane. That's crazy. That's the definition of insanity, is trying to do the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Well, here's some things that you may hopefully already be trying. Maybe this is the first time you've heard it, the first time that you've thought about it. But with these 10 steps, I think that we can start to get a grasp on the new reality that we're living in individually, how we can move forward in a prosperous and intentional way. The first thing that I would say that we need to do is we need to evaluate where we're living. Where do we find ourselves? Are we in a state that does not promote freedom? Are we in a place like California? Are we in a place like New York? Or are we in a place like Oklahoma? Are we in a place like Wyoming? Are we in somewhere where our values are echoed? Okay, you can look around this country and you can see that there are places that reflect those particular values of ours. You can see places where gun rights are protected. You can see places where taxes reflect what we believe a government should rightfully dip into as far as our pockets are concerned. We can see state governments that are more, that align more clearly with what we understand the Constitution to be saying than, say, the national government or other states. Consider very strongly looking at those states and moving to those, okay? There are certain states that are, purple. Maybe you're in one of those states. If you are, maybe you want to stick it out. If you're in one of those deep blue states, even if you are, as you likely may be, in a red area, that's not going to last forever. Okay, we saw in the recent election, we saw in 2018, that the other side, the enemy, is going to stop at nothing to try to steal what they can from us. Consider moving. Something else that I think that we should look at, and this is again a paramount concern. Remove your children, remove your grandchildren, remove any youngsters that you care about from public schools. Okay? Commander Culture here knows of what he speaks. He understands the education system better than most, and it is nothing but a Marxist indoctrination tool. At its very best, It's a babysitting service. And at its very worst, it is a Marxist indoctrination tool. You can look at the texts these kids are reading. You can certainly read the social media horror stories, and you can understand why I would say you need to remove your kids from public schools. Third, get off of mainstream social media, okay? If you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you are on some of these sites that are actively purging people from our side, you need to get off of them. How do you communicate with people? How do you link up? Well, there are alternatives, okay? We've seen that some of the alternatives, like Parler, are actively being targeted. We see that other alternatives who had been targeted previously are more robust, okay? I suggest, humbly, I'm not being paid any advertising dollars, although those would be nice, that you move your browser over to Brave, okay? I suggest that you move your email from Gmail or something like that over to a much more secure and privacy-oriented platform like Proton Mail. I suggest that you use a more reliable video service, BitChute. You may be watching this on YouTube, but it's simulcast over to BitChute as well. And some of your favorite creators, your favorite YouTube creators and commentators are there talking on BitChute as well. For social media, general Twitter, Facebook type stuff, there's always either a free alternative like Gab, or you could find a more a premium sort of a service. There are some of those out there. The one that I prefer is called Social Galactic. You can find me there as well. But there are these options out there. Okay. The next one that I want to talk about is organizing. Okay. In order to affect the change that we want to see in the world, isn't that what Gandhi supposedly said? We need to actually do things. We need to get involved. Now, one of the things that you may remember from the 2016 election was the sheer overwhelming surface area of the United States that was dominated by red, that was dominated by Republicans. These were the individual counties that made up the states that voted for the president. While Republicans may be in charge of those counties nominally, not all of those county offices are being held by patriots. They're not being held by nationalists, okay? They may be held by rhinos. They may be held by cronies of the Mitt Romney variety, or they may just be held by bumbling, starstruck incompetents who like to see fancy names come through their little organization. What I suggest that you do is that you attend your local county Republican committees, okay? Forget the national level. I have looked at this and it's extremely alarming, but I cannot identify a single national level Republican politician that's currently holding office that I think should continue to hold office. This is alarming to me. This led me to understand that we have to bring it all down to the local level. If you have ever been to one of your local county Republican meetings, you may understand what I'm talking about here. It is, for the most part, in my experience in rural America, a group of 10 or 15 older type people who have done this for 20 or 25 years, who get an almost sexual thrill out of reading Robert's rules to each other over and over again while eating bad pasta, and then they adjourn after saluting the flag. And they've done this for 20 or 30 years, and they continue to take marching orders from organizations or corrupt state organizations. Well, I'm here to tell you that if 20 or 30 of you in one county, which I'm sure there are, 20 or 30 nationalists, 20 or 30 patriots, 20 or 30 rock-ribbed, conservative right-wing type people show up at this, you could easily vote yourselves into the positions of authority. Now you control the county seat of Republicans. How difficult was that? It wasn't. Okay, all it takes is 10 or 20 people, but it takes them showing up. All right, and you and we have not done that. Are we going to do that? That remains to be seen. These county positions then promote candidates up to national office as far as Congress, and in the state level, the governorship and the state senate and things like that. If you control that local level, that's all that's needed to start reforming from the bottom up. Now, do I say that the stupid party, the Republicans, can be reformed? I don't know, but this is a place to start. This is the only place to start. It's the only real national organization that we have, so we might as well try working with it from the inside, where we already exist. Most of us are already Republican voters. What else can we do? Get out there and run yourself for local positions. Do you have law enforcement experience? Why are you not running for sheriff? Why is it some flunky somewhere? Okay. Do you have managerial experience? Why are you not running for county supervisor? Why are you not running for water board? Do you understand education or organization in general? Why are you not on the school board? Okay. Why are these positions reserved for people who, move towards power, sort of slobbering at the lips just so that they can, control other people's lives? It's not that difficult to run for office, especially at the lower level, especially in places where everybody knows your name, and you have a better chance of controlling your local events if you are actually in control of them. So this is what I'm basically saying. All right. Now, one more important point here is the election board at the county level. Now, we saw this more clearly than in any other election that's ever took place. I am honestly at the point of advocating for not voting in national elections, but at state elections and local elections, voting is absolutely critical. Who counts the votes? Okay, can you answer that question? Do you know who counts the votes in your county? If not, why not? Why aren't you down there counting those votes? When I saw those people in, I think it was Michigan, perhaps Pennsylvania, who were being literally boarded up and saying, even though you're a legal representative and you're supposed to be observing this vote, we're not going to let you. Why didn't those people tear that stuff down and force their way in and have to be pulled off by cops? Now, you may remember, we didn't get a legal hearing. Trump's side, the MAGA side, the right-wing side, did not get a single legal hearing on as to all of these improprieties. If there had been people forcing their way in, legal representatives, legal observers forcing their way in, saying, we have a right to be here, we are part of the election board, we might have a different story now. But as it was, they decided to cuck. They decided to do what Republicans always do, and they tut-tutted, and they twirled their bow ties 2 or 3 times, and then they decided to sit outside and wait, Bernie Sanders-like, while the votes were counted against them. Okay, this is not good. Let's see, what else do we have here? After you have thought about taking your local area back and not just sat and waited for others to do it, start your preps. Okay, start organizing your material surroundings so that you are not a victim of somebody's attempts to control those material surroundings. What do I mean? If you're familiar with prepping, you might have heard the phrase beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. All right, that means medical care, that means food, and that means self-defense. Do you have a stockpile of food? Some canned foods that you've got, or something more elaborate? Do you have a first aid kit? All right. Do you have a basic firearm to protect your house, or for going hunting or something like that? this is what we need to prepare for. We've seen that everyone from Donald Trump all the way on down has been removed from platforms that before had supported or had allowed them to conduct themselves financially. How are you preparing for a financial collapse, which I will tell you is coming, and I'll talk about that in other videos, or how are you preparing to be removed from the financial system, which has already happened to many of us on the right? Do you have cash on hand, right? Do you have things that they cannot take away from you very easily? Do you have gold? Do you have silver? Do you have cash? Do you have cryptos? Do you hold land? Right? These are things that are more difficult to take away, not impossible, but more difficult to take away on a whim. And those are things that can keep you through a catastrophe, right? On that same line, how, a lot of people say, well, Commander Culture, I can't buy gold. That costs too much. I don't know how to buy, cryptocurrency. I don't have the funds to save up, food, extra amounts of food. Cut your expenses. All right. And this is difficult, especially if you have a growing family, especially in this financial environment, but do what you can. Do you have a Netflix account? Okay. Cut that out. Right. Do you have expenses that you can cut down on? Cut out as much of that as you can. My costume, there we go. That you need to be able to have that extra stuff on hand, because $5 now in 2021 is going to be worth more than $5 in 2022. What are you doing to accumulate that stuff? I recommend, and I'm taking my own advice, get a second job. Okay, get a third job. Have something so that you're able to increase your revenue stream. Have something so that if you get deplatformed, say, from your actual job, you are able to bounce back. You're able to be resilient. You're not going to go on the dole. You're not going to go into a FEMA camp, right? These are not things that we want. This is something that may not apply to everybody, the next step here, and it's kind of a radical step, especially for people on the right historically. But I'm going to tell you, and this is something that I'll talk about in future videos, if you are in the military, you need to serve out your term of service, and then you need to turn and walk away, okay? I'm asking all of my supporters, I'm asking everybody that's on the right side of the spectrum, everybody that sees what's going on, to withdraw from the United States, and if you're in England or Australia, the national military. All right. Why is this? This military no longer, at least in the United States, okay, the military now follows an empty oath. There was an oath that's taken by all military members to protect the Constitution from enemies, foreign and domestic. So far, as of the 23rd of January, the military has refused to uphold that. Why would anyone want to join an oath-breaking organization? If they can break an oath to something like the Constitution, you can be darn sure that they're not going to protect you or look out for your best interests. That's reason number one, to get out while you can. Reason number two, because very shortly we're going to be joining wars across the world. I'll publish some more videos about this as well, but where are we looking at? Iran, a hotspot. Eastern Europe, Ukraine, another hotspot. Some dump in Africa, who knows? That's as good a spot as any. And something untoward happening out in the Pacific region, in Taiwan or whatnot, with China or North Korea, right? These charlatans, President-elect Biden and his whole crew of crony criminals, are going to try to get out of jail free by sending you into one of their pointless wars. They're going to try to distract from their economic catastrophes that they're currently sitting on, like a proud hen on its egg, by sending you off to battle. Join the military, get some skills. Yes, you can do that, but you can do those things other places. And up until this point in American history, when serving in the military was generally considered an honorable service, now where you have open Marxists graduating from West Point, for example, flaunting it, and you have a Secretary of Defense that's saying he's going to get rid of extremists, by which he means you, the person listening to this podcast. This is not an organization that you want to belong to, all right? At the risk of sounding like Napoleon Dynamite for number 8, I'm telling you, you need to start building skills, okay? Not everyone can do everything. A lot of people can't do hardly anything, but they can usually do at least one thing well. You need to build skills. Gardening, first aid, cooking, sewing, self-defense, repair, construction, learning how to use radios, right? Anything that you don't know how to do that you might conceivably need to know how to do, or someone else might need you to know how to do, right? There's where that second or third job comes in. Try to figure out how to do it, right? As you can tell, I'm not a professional YouTube creator. I'm not a professional videographer. I'm just a guy with a very particular set of skills and a camera. And I'm building those particular set of skills, right? I'm doing the same thing with some of those other things we've mentioned down there, with firearms, with gardening. And this is what you need to do as well. Take this time, take this opportunity, especially if you're one of those poor people that the COOF has put out of work or has furloughed or something like that. Take this time to build up your skills. I guarantee you that you are going to need them in the future. If you are on the other side of this, if you're a leader in an organization, for number 9, or you're a boss at work or a CEO, or you manage something like that, take this opportunity. What can you do to make the world a better place? You need to flip that whole deplatforming and purging narrative onto our enemies. Okay, if there are SJWs in your organization, whether it's a factory or whether it's an organization, whatever, a shooting club or something like that, you need to purge these people. You need to take the SJWs, you need to take the leftists, and you need to kick them out in the same way that you know that they would do if they were to identify you as somebody being a Trump supporter. Okay, the shoe is on the other foot as well. Now, I'm telling you to do this within the legal rights of your state. If there are laws in your particular state that protect people's political opinions, which some states actually have that's going back to number 1, talking about political freedoms, you might want to think about living in one of those states, then obviously don't purge people based on their political beliefs, but many places do not protect people based on their political beliefs. They will come after us. They are coming after us. There's a reason that Commander Culture wears this helmet. If his face were to get out there into the world, well, his employment might be at jeopardy. And this is not something that we would want, because then I wouldn't be able to stream with you guys anymore. Speaking of streaming, this is obviously a recorded video. If you do want me to start streaming, I'm waiting until I get 100 subscribers, and then I'll start doing some streams where we can interact directly instead of you guys emailing me. Emailing, by the way, Commander Culture, all one word, at protonmail.com. I'll put it in the description, but I do like hearing from you guys. In fact, this video is a result of me interacting with one of you, the viewers. And I hope you guys are enjoying it here and getting something out of it. Number 10, and it's no less important. Sometimes you always say you want to save the best for last. Sometimes you say you want to save the juiciest for last. This is the juiciest. Pair up. 2 people, male and female, mate, have kids, okay? The future, they say, it belongs to those who show up for it. Our opponents, the enemy, are a bunch of bugmen, soy boy, box wine sipping cat ladies, and they're not having kids, in case you guys haven't noticed. Oh, they wouldn't want to be associated with breeders. That would be terrible. And we are breeders, though, okay? Conservative people, we're healthier. We look better, I can guarantee you. And we also possess more fecundity. And that is an imperative that I'm putting onto you. Have more kids. If you're a single person, do what you have to do to find that right person. Go to church. Find that lady sitting by herself in the pew, by himself in the pew. Go online. There are lots of great services on there that are for people on the right, and I'll be talking more about those in other streams as well, or you can email me directly and I'll try to help you out, because it's very important that we get connected with people that we can build families with. Okay, we know it's been written in papers, sociology papers all over the place. Conservatives will outbreed regressives. Okay, the future belongs to people who show up for it. Now, as I approach the 25-minute mark, and I've talked about my 10 points here. I mean, God had 10 commandments. Commander culture has 10 points. I don't want to go more than that, or I'd feel like I'd be stepping on the big guy's toes. So what I'm here to tell you is take heart. Okay, all of these things that I've listed are things you can start doing tomorrow. All right, you can wake up, you can make a list on the back of an envelope, just like I have myself, and say, Commander culture listener, you'll say to yourself, I want to make the world a better place. I want to make America great again. I can't rely on the bad orange man because I don't know what's going to happen with him. All right. I need to change things for myself, starting right here. Everything is local. Everything is local, and it expands from there. And you are that local. Remember here, as I close out this remoralization stream, and I hope you feel remoralized. Let me know in the comments if you feel better hearing this, if you feel like, well, this is something I can do. This is one step that I can take. Remember, our enemies are cultural destroyers. They're cultural vandals. They destroy everything from Luke Skywalker to Robert E. Lee monuments to Harvard University. Okay? They will destroy themselves as well. Like a plague of locusts that runs out of cattle to strip to the bone and corn stalks to eat to the nub, they're going to start eating each other. All right. How do I know this? Because I'm a student of history. You can go all the way back as far as the Jacobins in the French Revolution. You can go all the way up to the USSR or even to BLM right now and watch this happen in real time. You can watch the Democratic Party tearing itself apart, trying to be more woke than the next. So we know that our enemy is going to destroy themselves. And if we build brick by brick a better country, a greater country with these 10 points, we will have set the path correctly towards the kind of future that we want to see. Remember to like this video. Remember to share this video out to people that you know. I'm very keen on getting this video in front of people so that they know that they're not alone, that just because President Trump has retired to Florida, so to speak, that the journey isn't over. Okay, the journey has just begun. The ride never ends. This is what we're doing here. We are starting and we're building something now that Trump has showed the way, that a nationalist America is something that can stand in the future. Remember, I am your purveyor of Samizdat. I am Commander Culture. Tomorrow belongs to you, to the stars.